Hello, I just watched The Common Law, a 1931 pre-code drama comedy starring Constance Bennett and Joel McCrea, who I'd bumped into before in this sort of watchathon of older movies on TCM, actually through my through my uh, watching Gene Arthur movies. He was a bit of a hunk of wood in that movie, a charming hunk of wood, a good looking hunk of wood, where it was set on the fisheries in Alaska. This one is very much more kind of socialite, flapper territory, bouncing between New York and Paris, actually opening in Paris, where Constance Bennett is leaving her lover, the guy who potentially was paying for her company as a kept woman, and she decides to leave. He's an alcoholic. He's perfectly charming, but is there obviously have a transactional relationship, and she needs work, so she ends up becoming a model for an American artist, Joel McCrea, and needs to pose nude. After a little bit of hesitation, she does. This is very much pre-code, and they develop a relationship. I really like Constance Bennett. She is able to kind of have this kind of wry, kind of, you know, she's seeing things, but she's also a can be very light. How would I put it? Yeah, yeah. Um, he learns about he is serious about her. He's going to marry her, but then he finds out about this past relationship, and she didn't really tell him because she didn't actually know if they actually had a serious relationship, and if she thought they did, she was going to. Um, but he does. Joel McCrea's sister is Claire, is played by Hedda Hopper, who would go on to be a gossip columnist, and from what it sounds like, a real piece of shit. One of the people who was really into the House of American Un-American activities, and blacklisting people, and just destroying people. Like her and a couple of other gossip columnists held massive sway at this time. I don't know if that's through the um, studio kind of power thing, but that's kind of just interesting. Like, oh shit, she's not that great of an actress, so I can see why she went on to other things, more probably more remunerative and more stroking of her fucking power thing. She's actually playing a shitty sister to Joel McCrea, who does everything to kind of undermine and try to expose Constance Bennett. But it's a comedy. It's a kind of a romance comedy, and by the end, she is continually looking again fabulous in dresses, as kind of just a really kind of prototypical kind of um, flapper woman of this time, but just like funny and wry. She's wry, I think, is the way to say it. Like, she's actually got character. It's funny. Jean Arthur can kind of at times kind of act. Uh, Even though she's kind of tough, she has these moments of kind of acting kind of almost infantile, and Constance Bennett never does that. I don't think Constance Bennett is the actor that she's basically just been Constance Bennett through this whole thing, but she's always kind of like, people throw things at her, and she's just like, "Fuck you," you know. There's the odd, like, oh, kind of, she has the odd moment of thing, but I really enjoy her. I really enjoy her. I mean, I guess is the thing for all movie stars. As usual, it's filmed in a fairly kind of straight ahead way. There's no flashy uh, photography. Because we've now made it into the 30s, there's not that steady background hiss noise in the early talkie movies. Um, Man, the one thing with these movies is it gets to the end, they kiss, or in this case, it's like, oh, I'm gonna marry you, and that's like they they get on a little skiff, they go out into the thing, and bang, we're done. It's like you hit that. They all lived happily ever after. That kiss, and bang, we are out on these movies. There's not going to be some kind of long drawn out thing. That's the point of this movie, is get these two people together. The second they're solidly together, that's it. We're done. And I really appreciate that efficiency. These are definitely efficiently told tales. I don't think any of these movies of Constant Bennett I've seen have been above an hour and a half long. And indeed, there was one of the earlier ones was definitely like shorter, was like just like an hour and a couple of minutes actually. And actually, that was a pretty good one. That was yeah, yeah. All right. So, but yes, there's some really gorgeous. Actually, there are some gorgeous scenes at a party, women standing on tables of just kind of riotousness, which were like in kind of a lush black and white. But most of the scenes are fairly kind of like a little bit flat. We're not going to get into kind of the inky black and whites that will happen in more of the 40s. Which, at some point maybe I will get into that era as well. Maybe I'll pick the next TCM star I'll pick will be somebody who's more active in the 40s, 50s, kind of that realm. Though boy, I really am enjoying just the frankness of these pre-code dramas. Even if they're not like great written, it's just like there's just a lot more kind of acknowledgement of, people fuck, people cheat, people are shitty, and that's not necessarily something that we're going to moralistically opine about or have to punish people about. It's like, that's just a story, which it's kind of modern. Actually, Joel McCrea, I enjoyed more in this one, I think. With Constant Bennett, they're probably at more of an equal level, and he actually is showing kind of his personality. I mean, he is a petulant jerk who tries to shame her for having a sex life before him, but he comes around at the end and properly appreciates Constant Bennett and marries her. So, yes, that is the Common Law, and more Constant Bennett to come. All right, more videos later.